Welcome to another edition of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. Well, it's been 1 month exactly today that my mother passed. And so what I mentioned online is that I'm going to do an homage to her over my next few videos and cook for you food that she made for us when I was a kid. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do these great breaded pork chops with her American fries, and also with a salad that she made. It's the only way she ever made the salad. And there's a bit of a backstory to the pork chops. You see, my father being Polish, he would reminisce about pork chops when he was a kid in his family. And so my mother wanted to learn how to make the pork chops. But there was some indifference in the family, and she didn't feel comfortable going to her mother-in-law to learn how to make the pork chops. So instead, she went to her Aunt Frances. Her Aunt Frances showed her how to make these great pork chops. They're nearly identical to the Polish pork chops, so I'm calling these Polish pork chops my mother's way. What Aunt Frances did is instead of using plain breadcrumbs, she used Italian breadcrumbs. When my mom made it for my dad the very first time, he wasn't expecting the Italian breadcrumbs, but he also wasn't expecting to fall in love with those pork chops more than he had in his own childhood. So that's why I'm going to make these for you. These are phenomenal, and I hope you give it a try. And then I'm going to make my mom's American fries that she always made along with the pork chops. And these are the pots, or these are the pans that my mother used. She always used this same cast iron pan to make the American fries in, and she used this Revereware pan to make the pork chops in. So in homage to my mother, here are your ingredients. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to simply salt and pepper the pork chops on both sides. We're going to flip these over and generously salt and pepper this side as well. Next, we're going to take each pork chop and we're going to dust it in the flour, making sure we get all around the edges, on the bone, everywhere. We want a nice dusting of this. And we're going to shake it off. We're going to put it in the egg wash, which is a combination of the egg and a little bit of water, making sure we get the egg wash all the way around. And then we're going to drop it in the breadcrumbs and we're going to press down. Press down the other side. We're going to walk it around, making sure we get the breadcrumbs all the way around, including on the underside of this bone part as well. And we're going to set it aside. We're going to repeat this for all of our pork chops. Once we're done with the pork chops, we're going to set these aside and we're going to start working on our potatoes. I'm going to add some cold oil to both frying pans. My mother never used olive oil. She always used Crisco oil. So that's what I'm using. I'm going to turn my heat on, medium high. And I'm going to add my potatoes. And I'm going to add my onions. I'm going to gently toss these just to mix the onions up with the potatoes. Now I'm going to cover these potatoes just a little bit to start getting them warmed up with the oil. And now we're going to start on our pork chops. For the pork chops, I'm going to heat my heat up to medium high, and I'm going to warm up my oil first to get it to a frying temperature before I start adding my pork chops. So I can hear the potatoes just starting to cook a little bit. So I'm going to mix them around to make sure they're all coated in that oil. As I'm mixing, I'm going to be generous, adding salt as well as adding pepper. I'm going to turn the heat down to medium low, and I'm going to cover again. Now my pan is warmed up for my pork chops, so I'm going to start adding the pork chops. You can see they're sizzling, which is what you want, but I don't want it so hot that the breadcrumbs are going to burn too quickly because these are fairly thick pork chops. And if you had thinner pork chops, much thinner, you could have the heat up a little higher and crisp them a little quicker. But I want these to take and simmer on a medium to medium high heat to brown those breadcrumbs. So for the potatoes, you might be asking, why don't you just boil them first and then peel them and so they're soft so they cook quicker? Simple reason. It's not how my mom did it. You might ask, why don't you add green pepper or do something else with it? Again, simple reason. This is the way my mom made this for us all the time. Same thing with the pork chops. So I'm doing it my mother's way, and feel free to deviate and do it any way that you want to do it. That's what cooking's all about. It's taking something you've learned and making it your own by experimenting. So I hope you're going to have fun with this, and let's continue to finish it all. Well, it should be time for us to take the pork chops and flip them over, and oh yeah, there they are. There they are. We're going to continue cooking on this side until the internal temperature gets to be 165. As for the potatoes, we're going to continue making sure that they're not sticking too much. Eventually, we're going to want them to stick because we want them to get nice and brown. But we're going to continue cooking like this until they break apart fairly simply. I'm going to cover again, and we'll keep going. Let's get underneath and see, and you can see they're just starting to brown. And we want a really good browning on these. We're going to now give these another flip because we want to even out the cooking. Oh, look at that browned breadcrumbs. So actually, the temperature we want is 145 to 165. They're at 155. So let's pull the pork chops, put them on a plate. We're going to let them rest just uncovered because we don't want to take and ruin the crispiness of any of that breading that we have. Let's flip these potatoes over. Oh yeah, look at that. Just how I remember them. Now, while these are still hot and cooking, I'm going to put more salt because potatoes really soak up the salt, and I'm going to add some more pepper. Now I'm going to flip these around, mix that around. You might say, why don't you use garlic salt or put garlic in there or do something like that for flavor? Boy, those are all great ideas, and I would, except for the fact this is how my mom made them. And so I want to experience that exact same flavor, that exact same meal that my mother used to make for us when I was a kid. And these potatoes are now done. For salad, my mom always used only iceberg lettuce. And she'd throw in some onions that were cut into little slivers like this. She'd mix them around. Then she'd dice up, or not dice up, slice slivers of tomato. Put those in there. She would add salt, pepper, a mixture of oregano and basil. She would mix all this together. Then from a big container, she would add plain white vinegar and mix that all in real good. Then she would add in her Crisco oil, no olive oil. We couldn't afford it. And mix this all together really thoroughly. And then she would say, Jerry, come over here, taste this. I want to make sure I have enough salt. So I would taste it. And as usual, I'd say, Mom, it's perfect. So to plate this, I'm going to take some of these great potatoes. I'm going to stick myself a little mound here on the side. These are my favorite potatoes. I mean, they take me back to my childhood. Then I'm going to be a little bit of a pig. I'm going to take 2 of these pork chops. I'm going to stack these up here. And then I've got to leave some room for this great salad. By the way, as the years went on, instead of my mother asking me to check the salad out, this was my daughter Fallon's favorite salad. And my mom would say, Fallon, come over here, taste the salad. Make sure I have enough salt. Make sure I have enough vinegar. So that was Fallon's job to do that. She took over for me. And once again, the salad was always perfect. It's the only salad my mom ever made. The only salad. This is the only one. She didn't make different types of salads with different type of stuff in it. This was it. So this is it. This is my mother's Polish Italian pork chops, breaded pork chops, with her American fries and her salad. This takes me back 50 years easy. It's been a long time since I've had this from my mom making it. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. I got a few more coming up of my mother's recipes. I hope you come see me again. Buon appetito, smacznego. Bye.